Emma, remember, in this life, honor is everything. You know too much, Dom. The only way out is in a box. Run, stay hidden.
I changed my name 14 times, but I only have one real name.
The carousel music cuts through the fog like a dying scream. Emma Russo stands at the center of the rotting platform, surrounded by 8 men in dark suits, soldiers from rival families who should never be in the same room together, let alone forming a circle around her. Blood drips from her knuckles onto the chipped paint of frozen horses, their mouths open in eternal gallops they'll never finish. The ocean crashes against rocks somewhere below, violent and endless. "We know who you really are," the man in front says, his Brooklyn accent thick even through the fear in his voice. "We know you're Dante Russo's daughter. We know what you did to the Castellanos family." Emma's hand tightens around the wrench hidden behind her back. The metal feels cold, certain. The carousel begins to turn on its own, groaning like something in pain. Wheels that haven't moved in years suddenly spinning faster than they should. She has 60 seconds before the backup generators fail and the entire park plunges into complete darkness. 60 seconds to decide if she's going to die here or take every one of them with her. "What I'm about to tell you," she says to the men closing in around her, "is going to change everything you think you know about the night my father died." The carousel spins faster. The music distorts into something almost unrecognizable. And somewhere in the fog, someone is screaming. Before we dive deeper into this nightmare, if stories like this make your pulse race and keep you up at night, do me a favor, smash that like button so I know you're feeling this. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. And when we're done here, drop a comment telling me what you would do in Emma's position. Would you fight or would you run? Now let me take you back to where this really started, 48 hours before the carousel began to turn and everything Emma thought she knew about her family began to unravel. Emma Russo packs her life into cardboard boxes for the 14th time in 6 years. Medical assistant certification with a name that isn't hers. Fake references from hospitals that barely remember her. A driver's license that says Emma Bradford. But before that it said Sophie Chen, Rachel Martinez, Claire Thompson, names borrowed from women who died young and left no family to notice someone had stolen their identities. She's 29 years old and she's been running since the night her father was executed in front of her. Since the night the Russo crime family was wiped off the map of New York. Since the night she became the last loose end that every family in the city wanted tied up permanently. Her phone buzzes against the kitchen counter. Unknown number. She almost doesn't look, almost deletes it without reading. But something stops her, some instinct inherited from a father who survived 40 years in organized crime by trusting his gut even when his brain said otherwise. The text is short. Medical position still available. Oceanview Park, Maine. Cash payment, no questions. Ask for Dennis. She'd applied 2 weeks ago under her current alias, desperate for work that wouldn't trigger background checks that go too deep. The job was perfect, isolated location, seasonal work, the kind of place where people minded their own business because they had secrets of their own to protect. Emma texts back with hands that learned not to shake years ago. "When can I start?" The response comes immediately. "Tonight. Bring your credentials and forget everything you think you know about amusement parks." She sets the phone down and stares at the last line. "Forget everything you think you know." That's a warning, not advice. But Emma Russo stopped listening to warnings the night she watched her father bleed out on the floor of their Brooklyn restaurant, while men in suits stepped over his body like he was garbage. The memory hits without permission, the way they always do. She's 23 years old again, hiding behind the bar while her father faces 5 men from the Castellanos family. Vincent Castellanos himself is there, voice calm as he explains why Dante Russo has to die. "You tried to go legitimate, Dante. You tried to pull your operations out of our territory, clean your money, walk away from the life that's not how this works. You know too much. You've seen too much. The only way out is in a box. Her father doesn't beg, doesn't plead. He just looks toward the bar where Emma is hidden and mouths 3 words. Run. Stay hidden. Then Vincent shoots him 5 times. Once for each of the Castellanos brothers who control New York's underworld. They leave him there, bleeding out on the floor of the restaurant he'd bought with clean money. The legitimate business he'd hoped would be his ticket out of the life he was born into. Emma runs. She's been running ever since. She shakes off the memory and finishes packing. Loads everything into her car, a 15-year-old Honda that barely passes inspection but runs quietly, which matters more than reliability when you're trying to stay invisible. She drives north along the coast as the sun sets, turning the ocean into liquid gold, and tries not to think about the fact that she's driving towards something instead of away from it. Oceanview Amusement Park looks like the kind of place the mob would use as a front. The Ferris wheel tilts slightly to the left, rust bleeding down its spokes like old wounds. The roller coaster track has gaps where sections have rotted away. Carnival games line the midway with prizes from the 90s, everything worn and faded and forgotten. There are maybe 20 people in the entire park, and Emma recognizes the look in their eyes. These are people who need to not be found. She parks near the back entrance and walks toward the medical station, a converted snack shack with a faded red cross painted on the door. The paint is peeling. The whole structure leans slightly like it's considering giving up. Dennis Hartwell meets her at the door. He's 55 with gray hair and the kind of face that's seen things it wishes it could forget. When he shakes her hand, Emma notices the scarring on his knuckles, the kind you get from hitting people, repeatedly, for years. "Emma Bradford," he says, reading from her application. Medical assistant, 3 years experience. He looks up at her, and for just a second his expression shifts. Recognition. "You have your father's eyes." Emma's blood goes cold. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you don't." Dennis hands her a key. "Medical station is yours. You'll handle basic first aid for tourists during the day. At night, you'll handle special cases. People who can't go to hospitals. People who need discretion." "What kind of people?" "The kind your father used to be." Dennis holds her gaze. "The kind you're running from. This place is neutral territory, Emma. Switzerland for the underworld. Every family on the East Coast knows about Oceanview. It's where you come when you need to disappear for a while, get patched up, make deals without worrying about getting shot. As long as you're inside these gates, you're untouchable. Break that rule, and you're dead before you reach your car." Emma's mind is racing. Who runs this place? Someone who understands that there's more money in peace than war. Someone smart enough to make herself indispensable to every family in the region. Dennis opens the door to the medical station. "You'll meet her eventually. Until then, keep your head down, do your job, and try not to get curious about the people you treat. Curiosity kills more than cats in this business." The medical station is surprisingly well equipped. Surgical instruments, blood bags, antibiotics that are prescription only. This isn't set up for treating scraped knees. This is set up for field surgery, the kind Emma learned to do when she was 16, and her father brought home a soldier who'd been gut shot in a territory dispute and couldn't risk going to a hospital. She meets the other employees over the next few hours. Tyler Vance operates the Ferris wheel, 24 years old, with nervous energy and eyes that never stop scanning the tree line. Mira Gallagher runs the ticket booth, 31 with the cold efficiency of someone who's killed people and stopped counting. Lucas Webb handles maintenance, 19 and terrified of his own shadow. Simone Park manages concessions with a smile that never quite reaches her eyes. Jackson Red provides security, 38 with a limp and a gun that's always visible. Cara Devine operates the games, 27 and asks too many personal questions. Emma's first patient arrives at 8 o'clock, a tourist child with a scraped elbow. Normal. Easy. The kind of work that doesn't require her to remember her father's lessons about removing bullets without anesthesia. The second patient comes at 9:30, a teenage girl with food poisoning. Emma gives her medication, monitors her vitals, sends her home with her embarrassed father. The third patient arrives at 11 o'clock after the park is closed and the tourists are gone and the only sounds are the ocean and the distant rumble of motorcycles. He's a man in an expensive suit charcoal gray, tailored to conceal the gun at his hip and the one at his ankle. Blood soaks through his left sleeve, spreading dark and wet. He walks into the medical station like he owns it. Maybe he does. Dennis appears in the doorway. This is Marcus Donovan, underboss for the Castellanos family. Fix him, forget him. Emma's world tilts. Castellanos, the family that killed her father, the family that's been hunting her for 6 years, and she's supposed to save one of their soldiers. Marcus sits on the cot without being asked. He unbuttons his jacket with his right hand, his left arm hangs useless. When he shrugs out of the jacket, Emma can see the wound clearly. Gunshot, entry in the shoulder, no exit, which means the bullet is still inside. She should let him bleed out, should watch him die and feel nothing. But her father's voice echoes in her head. In this life, you keep your word. You honor deals. That's what separates us from animals. Emma washes her hands and pulls on gloves, opens the locked cabinet Dennis showed her earlier. Inside, she finds everything she needs: surgical tools, local anesthetic, sutures that cost more than most people make in a month. She extracts the bullet without speaking. Marcus doesn't make a sound, doesn't flinch, just watches her with dark eyes that evaluate and measure. When she finishes, she drops the bullet into a metal dish with a sound like a bell. "You've done this before," Marcus says. Not a question. Emma cleans her instruments. "I'm a medical assistant. Medical assistants don't have the steady hands of a mob doctor, don't move like someone who learned field surgery young." He stands, tests his shoulder. "You're Dante Russo's daughter. I saw you once, years ago, when I was just a soldier. You were maybe 17, helping your father at the restaurant. You poured my coffee." Emma meets his gaze without blinking. "Dante Russo is dead." "Yes, he is. My boss killed him. 5 shots, close range, left him on the floor like trash." Marcus buttons his jacket slowly. "But you disappeared that night. Vanished so completely we thought maybe you were dead too. Turns out you were just smart enough to run, smart enough to hide." He moves toward the door, then stops. "Does Vincent know you're here?" "You tell me." Marcus smiles. It's not friendly, not yet, but he will. This place might be neutral territory, but that protection only lasts as long as you follow the rules. And something tells me you're not planning to follow the rules. He leaves. Emma stands alone in the medical station, her father's lessons running through her head like a prayer. Never show fear, never let them see you sweat. Always have an exit strategy. She has none of those things. She showed up in enemy territory without a plan, without backup, without anything except a desperate need for work and a foolish hope that maybe finally she could stop running. Dennis returns after Marcus leaves. "You should have told me who you were. Would you have hired me? No, but at least I would have been prepared." He sits on the edge of the cot, looking older than he did an hour ago. "This place is run by Victoria Castellanos, Vincent's sister. She's the one who had the vision to turn this park into neutral territory, who convinced every family from Boston to Philadelphia that it was worth more to them as a safe space than as another battleground. She's brilliant, ruthless, and she doesn't forgive people who lie to her. I didn't lie. I just didn't volunteer information. In this world, that's the same thing." Dennis stands. "Marcus will tell Vincent you're here. Vincent will want you dead. You're the last Russo, the last person who saw him commit murder, the last loose end. Victoria will have to decide if protecting you is worth the trouble it'll cause with her brother. My guess, she'll throw you to the wolves. It's good business. Then I'll leave, tonight, right now. You won't make it to your car." The moment Marcus walked out that door, he called his crew. They're already watching the exits. "You leave. You're dead. You stay. Dennis shakes his head. You're probably dead anyway, but at least staying gives you a chance. Emma thinks about her father, about the way he faced 5 men without flinching, about the way he spent 40 years surviving in a world designed to kill people like him. She's his daughter. She has his blood. Maybe she has his instincts too. Then I stay, she says, and I figure out how to turn this situation to my advantage. Dennis almost smiles. You really are Dante's kid. Stubborn as hell and too proud to know when you're beaten. He heads for the door. Get some sleep. Tomorrow things get complicated. Emma doesn't sleep. She inventories the medical station, cataloging weapons disguised as medical equipment. Scalpels, syringes, medications that could kill as easily as heal. She checks exits, sight lines, defensive positions. Her father taught her to think like a soldier, and soldiers don't sleep in enemy territory. At 3 a.m, she hears voices outside. She moves to the window and sees 5 men in dark suits standing near the carousel. They're arguing about something, gesturing toward the medical station. One of them is Marcus. Another is older, heavier, with the kind of face that's given orders to kill and never lost sleep over it. Vincent Castellanos, the man who murdered her father. Emma watches as Vincent points directly at the medical station. She can't hear what he's saying, but she doesn't need to. The message is clear. She's a problem that needs to be solved. But then another figure joins the group. A woman in her 60s, elegant and composed even at 3 a.m. She says something sharp to Vincent. Emma can see him flinch. The woman gestures expansively, making a point. Vincent argues back. The woman cuts him off with a single gesture. Victoria Castellanos, the woman who runs this place. The woman who decides who lives and who dies on her neutral ground. The discussion lasts 5 more minutes. Finally, Vincent throws up his hands and walks away, his soldiers following. Victoria watches him go, then turns and looks directly at the medical station window where Emma is standing. Even from this distance, Emma can see Victoria's expression. It's not anger, it's not fear, it's curiosity. Like Emma is a puzzle Victoria wants to solve. The next morning, Emma is treating a tourist with a twisted ankle when Victoria Castellanos walks into the medical station. Up close, she's even more intimidating, perfectly dressed, perfectly composed, with eyes that miss nothing. Emma Bradford, Victoria says, or should I call you Emma Russo? Emma keeps working on the ankle wrap. Emma Bradford is fine. You know, I remember your father. Dante was one of the few men in this business with actual honor. When he said he'd do something, he did it. When he gave his word, it meant something. Victoria sits on the examination table like she owns it. That's why my brother killed him. Honorable men are dangerous. They're unpredictable. They put principles above profit. Your brother killed him because he wanted out of the life. Yes, that too. Victoria studies Emma like she's a specimen under glass. You've been running for 6 years, changing names, changing cities, staying invisible. That takes discipline, intelligence. Your father trained you well. What do you want? To make you an offer, my brother wants you dead. So do 6 other families who see you as a symbol of old grudges and unsettled debts. But I see something different. I see a young woman with skills, connections, and motivation. I see someone who could be useful. Emma finishes the ankle wrap and helps the tourists to their feet. After they leave, she turns to Victoria. Useful how? This park is neutral territory, but maintaining neutrality requires intelligence, information. Someone who can move through different circles, treat different families, hear things that people say when they think they're safe. Victoria stands. I'm offering you protection, a place to stay, work that uses your skills, safety from the people hunting you. In exchange, you tell me what you hear. You help me keep the peace. You want me to be a spy. I want you to survive. The spying is just how you pay for the privilege. Victoria moves toward the door. Think about it, but don't think too long. My brother is patient, but not that patient. If you're not useful to me, I have no reason to keep protecting you. She leaves. Emma sits alone in the medical station and tries to figure out if she's been offered a lifeline or a noose. The answer comes that night when Tyler finds her behind the medical station, looking scared enough to bolt at any sudden movement. "You need to leave," he says without preamble. "Tonight, right now, before it's too late." Marcus has men watching the exits. "I know a way out, through the maintenance tunnels under the park. They lead to the beach. You can follow the shoreline for 2 miles. There's a road. If you're fast, you can be gone before anyone notices." Emma studies him. "Why are you helping me?" Tyler hesitates. "Because Lucas is dead. The maintenance kid. He found something he shouldn't have, files in the shed. Information about what this place really is, and now he's gone. Disappeared. And I know it's going to keep happening unless someone stops it." "What do you mean, what this place really is?" "It's not just neutral territory. It's a recruitment center. Victoria doesn't just provide safe harbor, she identifies people with useful skills and recruits them into her own operation. She's building something, Emma, something bigger than any single family, and the people who say no to her recruitment offers." Tyler swallows hard. "They don't leave, they just disappear." Emma feels ice in her veins. "And you're telling me this why?" "Because you're Dante Russo's daughter. Your father was the last honest man in this business. If anyone can stop Victoria, it's you." Tyler pulls a key from his pocket. "Maintenance tunnel entrance is behind the carousel. This opens the gate. Go tonight. Don't look back." He leaves before Emma can respond. She looks at the key in her hand and thinks about running, about disappearing again, about spending the rest of her life moving from city to city, name to name, always looking over her shoulder. Then she thinks about her father, about the way he faced Vincent Castellanos without fear, about the way he chose honor over survival. Emma Russo makes a decision. She's not running anymore. She's going to find out what Victoria is really building. She's going to find out what happened to Lucas. And then she's going to burn this entire operation to the ground, just like Vincent Castellanos burned her family. But first, she needs allies. And in a place like Oceanview Park, where everyone is running from something, finding people she can trust is going to be the hardest part. She starts with Mira. The cold woman from the ticket booth seems like the least likely candidate for betrayal. She's too obviously dangerous to be hiding anything. Emma finds her after midnight, smoking near the Ferris wheel. Tyler says Lucas is dead. Mira doesn't look surprised. Tyler talks too much. Did Victoria kill him? Victoria doesn't kill people herself. She just gives orders and lets other people get their hands dirty. Mira crushes her cigarette under her boot. Lucas found files about Victoria's real operation. Not the neutral territory story she sells to the families. The truth about what she's building, which is her own family, not bound by blood or territory, bound by leverage. She recruits people who have nowhere else to go, people running from the law, from other families, from their own pasts. She gives them safety in exchange for loyalty. And once you're in, you can't leave. She knows too much about you, has too much leverage. You become hers forever. Emma processes this. "And you? Are you hers?" "I was. 3 years ago, I killed a made man from the Moretti family. They wanted me dead. Victoria offered protection. I thought I was getting a second chance." Mira finally looks at Emma. "Turns out I just traded one prison for another. Why are you telling me this? Because you're Dante Russo's daughter, and your father once saved my life. I was 17, working as a waitress in one of his restaurants. A drunk customer got handsy. Your father broke the man's arm and told me I could always come to him if I needed help." Mira's voice softens. "He was one of the good ones. There aren't many of those left. If his daughter is planning something stupid and suicidal, I figure I owe it to his memory to help." Emma feels something loosen in her chest. An ally, finally. "What do you know about Victoria's operation?" She's been recruiting for 5 years. Started small, a few soldiers, a couple of specialists. Now she has people in every major family from Boston to Baltimore. They report to her, feed her information. She's building a web, Emma, and when she decides to pull it tight, every family on the East Coast is going to collapse. She's planning a coup. Not a coup, a hostile takeover. She's going to use the information she's gathered to destroy the current leadership of every family, then install her own people in their place. Within a year, she'll control everything. No more 5 families, just one, hers. Emma thinks about Victoria's offer, protection in exchange for information. Victoria doesn't just want Emma as a spy, she wants to own her. Wants to add Dante Russo's daughter to her collection like a trophy. How do we stop her? Mira laughs, but there's no humor in it. We don't. She's too powerful, too connected, too smart. The only reason I'm still alive is because I stopped fighting years ago. You want my advice? Take Tyler's key and run. Get as far away from here as possible. That's not an option. Then you're going to die here. And so am I for being stupid enough to talk to you. Mira lights another cigarette. But if you're determined to be a martyr, at least be a smart one. Victoria keeps files on everyone she's recruited. Names, crimes, leverage, everything she needs to control them. Those files are in her private office in the park's administration building. If you could get them, copy them, get them to the right people, the FBI, the media, doesn't matter, you could bring her down. Where's her office? 3rd floor of the administration building. Guarded 24/7. Alarm system that would make Fort Knox jealous. And even if you got in, you'd have maybe 5 minutes before her security descended. Mira meets Emma's eyes. It's suicide. So is doing nothing. Mira studies her for a long moment. Then she pulls out her phone, texts quickly. Simone, the woman who runs concessions, she used to be an intelligence analyst for the CIA before she got burned. She's been documenting Victoria's operation for 2 years, looking for a way out. If you're serious about this, she'll want to meet you. Why hasn't she done anything? Because she's smart enough to know she can't do it alone, but 3 of us? With Dante Russo's daughter leading the charge? Maybe that's enough. Mira's expression hardens. Or maybe we all just die together. Either way, at least we'll die fighting instead of waiting for Victoria to decide we're not useful anymore. Emma nods, set up the meeting. She returns to the medical station feeling like she's crossed a line she can't uncross. She's committed now. Committed to fighting Victoria Castellanos. Committed to exposing her operation. Committed to finishing what her father started when he tried to go legitimate and walk away from the life. But first, she has to survive the next 48 hours. Because Marcus Donovan keeps looking at her with speculation in his eyes. Because Vincent Castellanos is somewhere nearby, waiting for permission to kill her. Because Victoria is watching everything, evaluating, deciding if Emma is more useful alive or dead. Emma checks her phone. Text from unknown number. Carousel. Midnight. Come alone. As Simone. The meeting. Emma spends the next few hours preparing. She loads the small handgun her father gave her when she turned 18, the one she's carried through 14 moves and a dozen identities. Checks the knife in her boot. Maps 3 different escape routes from the carousel. She's Dante Russo's daughter, and he taught her that hope is not a strategy. At midnight, Emma walks toward the carousel. The park is dark except for emergency lights that cast long shadows across the midway. The carousel sits in the center like a throne, covered with the tarp that makes it look like a shrouded corpse. Simone is already there, standing near one of the frozen horses. She's 42, and up close Emma can see the scars on her hands, burn marks from interrogation techniques that Emma recognizes from stories her father told about the old days. Dante's daughter, Simone says. Mira says you want to take down Victoria. I want to expose her operation, get the files out, let the families know what she's planning. And then what? The families go to war with her? They tear each other apart, fighting over the pieces. Simone shakes her head. That's not justice. That's just more violence. What do you want? I want Victoria in federal custody. I want her operation dismantled properly. I want the people she's coerced given a chance to cooperate with authorities and maybe, possibly, get out from under their pasts. Simone pulls out a tablet, shows Emma files. I've been building a case for 2 years. Everything she's done, everyone she's recruited, every crime she's planned, all documented, all admissible. I just need someone brave enough to help me deliver it to the FBI. Why haven't you done it yourself? Because I'm dead if I try. Victoria has contacts in the FBI. She'd know the moment I approached them. But you're Dante Russo's daughter. You have credibility the rest of us don't, and you have something else. Motive. Victoria's brother killed your father. That gives you standing to demand justice. Emma looks at the files. Hundreds of pages. Thousands of documented crimes. Victoria's entire operation laid bare. How do we do this? Tomorrow night, Victoria is hosting an event. All her recruits will be here. All the families she's cultivating will send representatives. It's the perfect time to move. Everyone she'd use to stop us will be in one place. Distracted, Simone's expression is grim. But it's also the most dangerous time. If we're caught, if anything goes wrong, we're dead. All of us. What about Marcus and Vincent? They'll be there. Vincent wants me dead. Victoria won't let him move against you on her territory. It would violate the neutrality. But after the event, once you leave the park, Simone doesn't finish the sentence. She doesn't need to. Mira emerges from the shadows. Tyler's in. He's been monitoring Victoria's security systems. He can give us a 20-minute window where the administration building's alarms will be offline. That's when we make our move. Emma thinks about her father, about honor and principle, about the fact that the easy thing would be to run, and the right thing is to stay and fight even knowing she might not survive. I'm in, she says. Let's burn this thing down. The next day passes in a blur of preparation. Emma treats tourists mechanically while her mind runs through the plan. Tyler will disable the alarms. Mira will create a distraction at the event. Simone will guide Emma to Victoria's office. They'll copy the files, get them to the FBI contact Simone has been cultivating, and then, if they're lucky, they'll disappear before Victoria realizes what happened. It's a terrible plan. Too many moving parts. Too many things that can go wrong, but it's the only plan they have. At 6 o'clock, the luxury cars begin arriving. Blacktown cars and SUVs, all bulletproof, all driven by men who are paid to kill. The families are arriving for Victoria's event. Emma watches from the medical station window as Vincent Castellanos emerges from one of the cars, flanked by his soldiers. He's laughing about something, looking relaxed, looking like a man who's never faced consequences for the things he's done. Marcus Donovan arrives separately, his shoulder healed enough that he barely favors it. He catches Emma watching and smiles. It's not a friendly expression. It's the smile of a predator who knows exactly where his prey is hiding. At 7:30, Victoria herself arrives. She's dressed like she's attending the opera, elegant and untouchable. She moves through the gathering crowd like a queen, accepting greetings, touching shoulders, the center of gravity everything else orbits. At 8 o'clock, Emma gets a text from Tyler. Alarms go down in 10 minutes. Move fast. Good luck. She leaves the medical station and walks toward the administration building. Her heart is pounding, but her hands are steady. She's Dante Russo's daughter. She doesn't show fear. Simone meets her at the back entrance. 3rd floor, office at the end of the hall. Victoria keeps the files in a safe behind her desk. Code is 0715, her daughter's birthday. Victoria has a daughter? Had. She died 20 years ago. Car accident. Victoria blamed Vincent. He was driving drunk. That's why she built all this. Not for power. For revenge against her own brother. Simone's expression is pained. She's not a monster, Emma. She's just someone who let her grief turn her into something she never wanted to be. Emma doesn't care. Victoria might have reasons for what she's become, but reasons don't excuse the people she's hurt, the lives she's destroyed. The young man named Lucas who disappeared for asking questions. They reach the 3rd floor. The hallway is empty. All of Victoria's security is at the event. Emma moves quickly to the office at the end. picks the lock in 30 seconds. Inside, Victoria's office is surprisingly plain. A desk, a chair, a safe, no photographs, no personal touches, just the functional space of someone who stopped caring about comfort years ago. Emma opens the safe. Inside are files, hundreds of them. Names she recognizes from the families. Crimes documented in meticulous detail. Bank records, photographs. Everything Victoria needs to control the entire East Coast underworld. Emma pulls out the portable drive Simone gave her and starts copying files. 10 minutes. That's all they have before the alarms come back online. She's 6 minutes in when she hears footsteps in the hallway. Emma grabs the drive and moves toward the window. It's 3 stories up, but there's a fire escape. She can make it if she's fast. But then the office door opens and Marcus Donovan walks in, gun raised. Behind him is Vincent Castellanos, smiling like all his birthdays have come at once. "Emma Russo," Vincent says. "I've been waiting 6 years for this." Emma's hand moves toward the gun at her hip. Marcus fires first. The bullet catches her in the shoulder, the same shoulder where she removed his bullet days ago. Poetic in a violent sort of way, she stumbles back against the desk. The drive falls from her fingers. "That's for making me wait," Vincent says, picking up the drive. "And this," he raises his own gun, "this is for my sister, who's going to be very disappointed that you tried to steal from her." The gunshot is deafening in the small office, but Emma isn't the one who falls. Vincent drops, blood spreading across his expensive shirt. Behind him stands Victoria Castellanos, gun in hand, expression colder than Emma has ever seen. "You really thought I didn't know?" Victoria says to Vincent's body. "You really thought I wasn't monitoring every move you made in my territory?" She looks at Marcus. "Get out. Tell the families Vincent was killed by a rival. Tell them I'm taking over the Castellanos operations. Anyone who has a problem with that can take it up with me personally." Marcus looks between Victoria and Emma, calculating. Then he nods and leaves, stepping over Vincent's body like it's garbage. Victoria turns to Emma. "You're bleeding on my carpet. Your brother shot me." "Yes, he did. And now he's dead for violating neutrality on my ground." Victoria picks up the drive Emma dropped. "You were trying to steal my files, expose my operation, destroy everything I've built." Emma presses a hand to her shoulder, trying to stop the bleeding. "Yes, because you're building an empire on coercion and fear. Because you're no better than the families you're trying to replace. Because my father believed in honor, and there's no honor in what you're doing." Victoria is quiet for a long moment. Then she does something Emma doesn't expect. She hands back the drive. "Your father was a good man, one of the few I ever knew. When he came to me 5 years ago, asking for help going legitimate, I gave him advice. I told him the families would never let him walk away, that the only way out was to fake his death and disappear completely." Victoria's voice softens. "He said he couldn't do that. Said his daughter deserved to know he was alive, deserved to have a father she could be proud of. I told him that pride would get him killed." Emma stares at her. "You knew my father. I loved your father. He was the only man who ever saw me as something other than Vincent's sister or a potential asset. When Vincent killed him, I lost the only person who made me want to be better than I am." Victoria moves toward the door. "Take the files. Give them to whoever you want. Destroy my operation. I don't care anymore. Without Dante, none of this means anything." She leaves. Emma stands alone in the office, bleeding and confused and holding a drive that contains the power to destroy the most dangerous woman on the East Coast. Simone appears in the doorway. "I heard gunshots. Are you?" She sees Vincent's body. "Holy hell." "Victoria gave me the files." "What? She loved my father. And I think she's been waiting for someone to stop her. Someone to end this before she becomes exactly what she hates." Emma picks up the drive. "Let's get these to the FBI. Finish what we started." They make it out of the administration building and halfway across the park before the alarm sounds. Not the security alarm, a different one. The emergency evacuation alarm that means something catastrophic is happening. Emma turns and sees smoke rising from the carousel. Fear. The whole structure is burning, flames reaching toward the sky. And standing in front of the burning carousel is Victoria Castellanos, watching her empire burn with an expression that might be relief. Mira runs up to Emma. Victoria set the fire. She's destroying all the physical evidence, all the records she kept. She's wiping it all away. We have the digital files. It's not enough. Without the physical evidence, a good lawyer could argue the digital files are fabricated. We need... The explosion cuts her off. The administration building goes up in flames, windows shattering, the whole structure collapsing inward. Victoria isn't just destroying evidence, she's destroying everything. Emma watches the park burn and realizes Victoria is giving them a gift. By destroying her own operation, she's making sure the families can't retaliate, can't trace connections back to the people she recruited. The people like Mira and Simone and Tyler who were trying to escape their pasts. Victoria is setting them free the only way she knows how. The FBI arrives 20 minutes later, followed by fire trucks and ambulances. Emma is treated for her gunshot wound while federal agents swarm the burning park. She gives them the drive, tells them everything, names names, provides testimony that will take years to fully process. When they ask where Victoria Castellanos is, Emma looks at the burning carousel and says honestly, I don't know, because Victoria has disappeared into the night, just like Emma has been doing for 6 years. Running, hiding, starting over. Maybe that's justice. Or maybe it's just the best they could manage in a world where good people do bad things and bad people occasionally do the right thing for the wrong reasons. 6 months later, Emma Russo walks into a small medical clinic in Chicago. She's using her real name now. No more hiding, no more running. The FBI gave her immunity in exchange for her testimony. The families have bigger problems than one woman who survived her father's execution. She's opening a legitimate practice, the kind her father always wanted to run. Clean money, honest work. The American dream that organized crime promises but never delivers. Her phone buzzes. Unknown number. Text, I'm glad you made it out. Your father would be proud. Emma deletes the message. She doesn't respond. Because Victoria Castellanos is a ghost now, just like Emma used to be, and some ghosts are better left alone. But sometimes, late at night, Emma thinks about that burning carousel, about the way Victoria watched her empire collapse with something like relief in her eyes, about the fact that even monsters occasionally want to be saved from themselves. They taught her that the world was divided into good people and bad people, that you were either a victim or a predator, that survival meant choosing a side and never questioning it. But her father taught her something different. He taught her that honor matters more than survival, that you can be born into darkness and still choose to walk toward the light, that the hardest thing in the world is not becoming the thing you hate. Emma Russo is Dante's daughter, and she spent 6 years running from that truth. But now she's walking forward, carrying her father's lessons like a torch, lighting the way for other people trying to escape the life they were born into. The carousel is gone, the park is ash, Victoria Castellanos is a memory, but Emma Russo is alive, free, and finally able to sleep without dreaming of fire. Now tell me in the comments, do you think Victoria deserved mercy? Was she a victim or a villain? And what would you have done in Emma's position? Take the files and run, or stay and fight? I want to hear your thoughts. And if you made it this far, you're the real one. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next story. Until next time, stay safe out there.